Hello everyone and welcome to Racer TV's coverage of the John Penton 2015 GNCC Round 8 here in our GNCC series for the season, and all kinds of action going on. Adam McGill leading our XC1 Pro class in a tight battle with Walker Fowler. Not so close in the XC2 Pro Lights though. The Coltrane Richardson, almost undefeated, only suffering one loss this season. We're expecting a great day of racing here today in Millfield, Ohio from the John Penton 2015.
And thanks a lot, Megawatt Matt Watson, and welcoming everyone once again along the World Wide Web, across the globe, to RacerTV.com at round number 8 of America's premier off-road racing championship and the world-renowned AMSOIL GNCC Series presented by Maxxis and AMA National Championship. And of course, as we get set to roll through the southeastern Ohio hills, what a historic day we have rolled out and laid out before us. It also falls on the heels of 25 runnings of historic races here in the past. And of course, this is the place that it all happened first for the great Barry Hawk. The first of 68 wins began right here at the John Penton GNCC in 1991. Well, here we are today, some 24 years later, getting set to roll into the 26th running of this John Penton GNCC, formerly known as the Burr Oaks 100-miler. And this, my friends, the last bit of touch that we have with our roots and our history, as this is the last race left on the championship series that was involved in the original Wiseco 100-miler series. My friends, welcome to history and welcome to GNCC Racing as we get set to roll here today through the hotbed of it all, southeastern Ohio, laying claims to a lot of top motorcycle pilots, but Pennsylvania seems to be the home territory for the top ATV pilots. Will that be the same today, or will an Ohio rider merge out on top as he did just 1 year ago, as Walker Fowler did? We'll find out in about 2 hours, but right now, folks, it's time to meet our starting lineup for this, the Wiseco John Penton GNCC, as we turn our attention to the first turn region, where, of course, our top XC1 Pro riders have converged and will now make their way to the starting line in accordance to points so far through 7 rounds of GNCC racing. He rolls to the line first today, riding aboard the number 521. He got his first ever podium out of the XC2 Pro-Am class some 10 years ago in 2005, right here in these very soils, from West Union, West Virginia, on a CST, Pirate MX, LSR, DeRisi Racing Tire Blocks, Spider Graphics backed Honda, Adam McGill. Rolling to the line second today in points, fresh off a win, and fresh off of a win 1 year ago right here at the John Penton GNCC. He hails from Rogers, Ohio on an Infab Ampro Yamaha, backed by Maxxis Tires, MXP, and Lone Star, Walker Fowler. Rolling to the line today, third in points. He rides aboard the number 4, hailing from Casca, Pennsylvania, in search of his first ever overall GNCC win. Riding on a JMR ATVriders.com backed Honda, the Sneaky Snake, Jared McClure. Rolling to the line next today, he has won 5 times here at this Wiseco John Penton GNCC. He is the winningest GNCC racer of all times. He is also 4th in points, riding aboard the number 1 from Sunbury, Pennsylvania on the Maxxis Fly factory-backed Yamaha, Chris Borridge. Rolling to the line next, he is 5th in points. He rides aboard the number 7 with 1 win in the championship season so far. From Irwin, PA on a Bithell Racing Maxxis Precision Back Suzuki, Chris Bithell. Rolling to the line today, 6th in points. He rides aboard the number 6 from Bidwell, Ohio on the Maxxis B. Neal Motorsports backed Yamaha, the sophomore and former Pro-Am champ, Bryson Neal. Rolling to the line today, 7th in points. He rides aboard the number 9 from Mount Pleasant, Pennsylvania, a sophomore as well on a coastal Waynesburg Yamaha, backed by MXP, Axis, Lone Star, and Yosemira J. Shadron. Rolling to the line, 8th in points today. He rides aboard the number 341 from Medina, Ohio, on a fast tracks Wolf Racing backed Honda, Brian Wolf. Rolling to the line today, 9th in points. He rides aboard the number 16. He is Johnny GNCC, hailing from Aurora, Ohio, on a GBC Yamaha, backed by HMF, Johnny Gallagher. Currently ranked 10th in points, riding aboard the number 12 from Hopedale, Ohio, on a BNR GBC backed Yamaha, Kevin Yoho. Rolling to the line next today, riding aboard the number 14 from Manchester, Maryland, on a show hauler Maxxis Cycle Barn backed Yamaha, LW, Landon Wolf. To the line next, he's featured on the event t-shirt, hailing from Marietta, Ohio, on a Team Woodhead Baldwin Motorsports Maxxis back machine. They call him the Copperhead. From Marietta, Ohio, Braden Henthorn. And last, and certainly not least, lucky number 13, hailing from Akron, Ohio, on a BNR Maxxis Moose Racing backed Yamaha, Josh Merritt. And that, ladies and gentlemen, your starting lineup for this XC1 Pro class here at this 26th running of the Wiseco John Penton GNCC. And as the riders make their way down onto the starting line, they fire them back up, my friends, as we get set to roll into our next pages of history as the next quarter century begins to be written here today in the soils of southeastern Ohio. All attention once again focusing and turning on Ricky Towery up near the turn number 1, as Ricky, obviously our conductor of ceremonies here today, the maestro, if you will, as we like to call him here in the GNCC Racing Nation. We also got these riders going for a couple of hole shot awards today, $250 worth of hole shot money going out today to our friends at, well, in the XC1 Pro class from, I believe it's All Balls, Bearings, and Components, and a $100 hole shot award from our friends at Hot Cams, Unleashing the Power Within, going to our XC2 Pro-Am class coming up in start number 2 here today. Already we've seen great racing action with our youth ATVs this morning. Our Polaris Ace Race, the all-new experience in a off-road experience, of course, in a side-by-side / ATV. It's a one-up machine. It's a pretty cool thing. We had a race this morning for those guys. We had the 4x4 pros, the WXC, and all of our novice classes this morning at 10 o'clock. And now we get set to roll in with this 1 o'clock race this afternoon. And don't forget, a little later today, we go to UTV racing, as GNCC Live will be back on the air about 4:30 this afternoon for more great GNCC racing action coverage. Well, you can see Ricky Towery has already began the start sequence here, and he is beginning to inform these riders of what they are to be preparing themselves for over the course of the next minute or so. We are within 1 minute. The next signal we see coming from Ricky Tower will be the waving of the blue flag, and then it's our dead engines call. All engines will shut down at this point. This blue flag also signals 30 seconds for the start of the race. So shut them down, guys. Shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. It's about time to go racing, and I got to ask you, Ohio race fans, as we get set to embark upon our next quarter century of history here in Ohio, are you ready to go GNCC racing? Now, come on, Ohio. This is the hotbed for GNCC. This is the oldest GNCC in the history books today. I got to ask you one more time. Are you ready to go John Penton GNCC racing? 10 seconds. And row number 1, the XC1 Pro, will be off and rolling at this Wiseco John Penton GNCC. Riders around and heading for the first turn, and out of the first turn into the second turn. It's a mad Madness in turn one, and it's going to be Chris Bithell grabbing the whole shot money. Walker Fowler in second. There's Jay Shadron back in the number 3 spot. There is the number 12 we see, and wow, who is that coming out of the first turn? Your points leader, Adam McGill, and dead last. He's going to need the Mafia today, my friends, as he rolls into Ohio. The XC2 Pro-Am, Cole Richardson, Marty Christopherson, Fred Marley, Randy Hamilton, James Green, Wes Kinsley, Jonathan Fugate, Levi Cohen, Blake Tornes, A.J. Kuntz, Luke Shepard, Cody Collier, Danny Rogers, Bryson Hops, Cameron Boost, Nathan Walpe, Anthony Herring, Michael Lancaster, Brad Amon, and Christopher O'Neill ready to roll on Ricky Towery's cue of 10 seconds. And the Hot Cams Whole Shot Award coming up, $100 up for grabs in this XC2 Pro-Am class now as riders vying for the top spot here today. And it's going to be the 28 machine, Levi Cohen from out of Millfield. Literally, talk about next door neighbors. Levi lives about a quarter mile down the road, my friends, and he grabs the whole shot here at home. The College A 16 to 21-year-old class coming up next. Christian Meyer, Kenny Schick, Dylan Edwards, Aaron Gronsky, Nick Royalty, Brandon Hess, Devin Fehan, Justin Hess, Brandon Eicher, Corey Silverthorne, Noah Landis, Greg Covert, also Anthony Barnes, Wesley Wolf, Tyler Wares, and Brody Lamoureux ready to roll in 10 seconds. The folks, they're a little excited for the excited for Levi's whole shot there. And we got our next one coming up. It's the number 48 machine grabbing it. It's Christian Meyer out of Oldenburg, Indiana. And up next, the Junior A 22 plus class, Nathan Hornacek, Michael McAvoy, Matthew King, Justin Paul, Simon Bissell, Travis Staley, Ben Brink, Dustin Dokolski, Brandon Ramito, Joshua Beach, Robert Heckman, Austin Parks, Kevin Patterson, Brad Wilson, Dustin Burkhammer, Stephen Covert, Dwight Pollard, Brett Henke, Chris Cage, and Dustin Piggott. 10 seconds. Junior A 22 plus class off and rolling now. And it's going to be the 61, 67, and doesn't appear we got that number on our sheet, so we go to the Bet A 28 plus class coming up next. Todd Demery, Kenneth Kelly, Tom Jansky, Walter Schumacher, Dustin Hendershot, Matt Hanna, and Matt Pierce, a relative who's who of our Bet A 28 plus class now as they stare straight down that starting line to Ricky Towery, who says 10 seconds. Todd Demery out of Versailles, Indiana, grabbing the jump off the line as we roll through turn 2 now, and whoa, he overshoots the turn, and Demery going to have some work cut out for him now, it looks like. As we go to the Senior AB 38 plus class, we got John Glotta, Aaron Delancey, Jason Noble, Brian Foltz, Mark Batts, and Rusty Repass. Mike Muskop ready to roll out here now. 10 seconds. And the green flag waves on the Senior AB 38 plus class. And around the second turn we go. We get them all sorted out. I see Mark Batson back there in the number 2 spot. Didn't quite get the first place guy, but now we go to our next row, the College B 16 to 21. Andrew Manbeck, Brandon Barnes, Dustin Atkinson, Charles Dawson, Tyler Creel, Bobby Duker, Weston Scott, Brandon Thompson, Brett Fetty, also Donald Boylan, Cameron Horton, Mitchell Edelblut, Frankie E. Grass, Blake Meyer, Braden Schick, Jeremy Hill, Cody Wallace, Chandler Berner, Nick Mastrangelo, Colin Gerber, James Sabella, Ryan Bovis, Jamie Wells, Scotty Pearson, and Tanner Walker. And And sounds like a couple machines might have started off a little bit early there. Don't know if it was from that College B class or not, but they're duking it out down here, and it's the 369 of Weston Scott out of Granite Falls, North Carolina, on a DeRisi Racing back machine, grabbing the early lead in this one as we move now to the Junior B 22+ class. Eric Collifield, Robert Matt, Brett Flack, Caleb Bailey, Alan Tuttle, Brian Felicki, Chris Kent, Jay Turner, Dustin Dickerson, Ben P.P. DeMarco. We got Justin Farrell, Chasen Bush, Roger Sargent, Rex Pierce, Josh Osborne, Cody Wolford, and Jason Day. And Ricky's trying to get this rider. Can you guys move down just a little bit more so Ricky will feel safe that you guys are out of the way? Got a rider that is stalled out coming out of the first turn there, so they're going to move him up just a little bit. And Ricky will begin our start sequence here in just a moment for our Junior B class. 22 years of age and older, all ready to roll in. He's trying to get you guys. He's wanting you guys down a little bit further. We got him. Oh, we got this guy. I was looking at the wrong place. You guys are fine. All right, there we go. 10 seconds. So 2 little incidents there. We got one in turn 2 and one heading into turn 2. That's what was holding up the start there, but we got her going now. Everybody's clear. And we got, was that 8-18 Cody Wolford out of Dry Fork, West Virginia, grabbing the early lead in this one. As we go to the Vet B 30+ class, Jeremy Gishard, the Marlboro Man, Todd Muscala, also Sam Lamp, Jason Dillard, Charlie Rogers, Chris Davidson, Pete Arbades, Ronnie Berg, Casey Edwards, Greg Westfall, Rocky Anderson, John Salsa, Dale Batson, Daniel Webb, Brian Locke, and Lawrence Warren. 10 seconds. And the Vet B class working it out through the first turn now, and it's going to be the 061 Jeremy Gouchard out of Mansfield, Ohio, GT Thunder, Evans Power Sports, and AMSOIL-backed rider. And that, my friends, is our start here at the Wiseco John Penton GNCC. Nearly 150 more riders now tackling the hills of southeastern Ohio in hopes of staking their claims in one of the most historic GNCCs on the tour. And with that, we're going to take a quick break here on RacerTV.com, and we'll be back with more right after this.
This Racer TV live broadcast is brought to you by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. By Rocky Mountain ATV MC, get ready. By Maxxis Tires, find your flow. And powered by Yamaha Generators.
Hello and welcome back to Racer TV coverage of the 2015 John Penton GNCC here at Millfield, Ohio. I'm Megawatt Matt Watson. I'm joined by our expert analyst, Fred Andrews. Fred, action right from the very start here today, my goodness, in our ATV Pro race.
Sure was out there today. You know, they got off a good start. Adam McGill came in there a little hot, got a little bit sideways, and the guys behind him are trying to go. You know, they're all trying to go forward, so boom, right there. He just got a little sideways to number 12, which is Yoho, just had nowhere else to go. You know, just plowed right into him. That's unfortunate for Adam, but you can see when Adam got crashed right there, he kind of knew it was coming. He was kind of looking, but then he was in no real hurry to get back to his quad, which I thought was kind of weird.
You know, Adam was on two wheels. He definitely let off the throttle and was possibly going to bring it back, but with all forward momentum already started, like you said, it just went into slow motion and Yoho had nowhere to go.
Yeah, and you know, then Adam, luckily he got away from the whole crowd. Nobody ran him over, just his bike kind of tumbled. It looked like he kind of just got himself back together and he's going back after, so I think we're going to have a good ride today. An exciting race going on here. As you can see, our leaders now are coming through. Coming out of the woods, some of the open spots out here on the track, they're going to be a little bit dusty, but the woods are really, really in good shape right now.
Had an opportunity this morning to check out just a little bit of the wood sections, and like you said, believe it or not, there's still some good traction out there. It hasn't turned to talcum powder yet by any means. The rocks aren't extremely bad this year, and I tell you, I think that right now conditions are as good as they can be expected with the amount of rain that we've had, which is none.
Yeah, right now, you know, the track right now, it's like I said earlier, the woods are good. The motocross track, they actually put some water down there, and it's a really, Millfield's really unique because the whole motocross track, the crowd can watch so much more action, and then you can duck off into the woods, you can see a whole bunch of woods action going on. As you can see from the grove and grove of people, that the word of Millfield being a unique type of race is out, because we've seen more people go by today from the start, just headed to the woods, headed to the motocross track, and there's a whole bunch of different spots where the spectators can watch today, so it's really exciting out there for sure.
Well, I can tell you, based on what we've seen so far, it is exciting. And like you said, the accessibility of this track makes it so spectator friendly. Coming in, you know, Adam McGill leading the points, of course, in XC1. Walker Fowler in second place. So my goodness, we've already got a story. We've already got action and drama here today. And if I'm not mistaken, it looked like Cole Richardson got about a second place starter. So he was really in the hunt there. And as they headed for the woods, it looked like Cole may have already made a play for the lead. So not quite as close a race there as we have in XC1.
Yeah, you know, Cole Richardson kind of is leading that class really well this year. He really hasn't had anybody really challenge him, so he's out there to try to get as far forward for the overall as what he can. So he's already pushing past the XC1 guys, trying to carry himself further and further into the overall. But as you know, he did this a few races ago. He was way out ahead and had some bike problems. So in GNCC racing, it's never over till you get to the finish. Even though you may have that big lead, it's not over till you get there.
Fred, I tried to express to everybody this morning, an unbelievable amount of races this season have been determined on the last lap. Not so much just consistency, not so much, you know, anything can happen, but that last lap, all the suspects are together going into that last lap, but somebody made a move from third, from fourth, from second place or whatever into the lead.
Well, you know, Matt, we've had so many winners in the XC1 class this year that everybody has confidence that they can do it. So there's nobody saying, well, so-and-so's in the lead, I can't catch him. Everybody says, no, I can win. And they're all battling, and they don't give up till the finish. And it's made this racing this year the most exciting it's ever been. And with the TV coverage that we've had this year, it's made it the best ever.
You know, you're leading me into my next point. You're talking about the confidence, and you're right. 8, 9 guys can win. There's no doubt about it. But quite the opposite in the confidence level, I believe, in XC2. Cole's got a mental hold on some of these guys, I do believe, and his determination, you mentioned that overall podium, that's his determination, that's his drive and his motivation, and he's strongly attached to that right now, and that's driving him every week.
Yeah, I know he would probably like to try to get up there to win an overall, but the pace for XC1 has picked up so much right now, I really don't see that in the cards. Not that he couldn't, but there's so many good guys out there right now, and, you know, with Chris Borich, he had that breakthrough ride last weekend where he finally got in there. He smelled a win. He got on the podium. So I look for this race to be another good race for Chris Borich. You know, he's back on the swing. He's on the uphill, and he's got that monkey off his back right now, and he's moving forward.
You know, when you see him ride comfortable, when you see Chris Boris smile, not known for his smile, when you see that guy relax, like I watched him in the pits the last couple weeks, and even after the last couple performances, the guy's been very positive, and that's bad news for everybody around him.
Yeah, you know, Chris knows he's been doing everything right. All this stuff is good. He's just had a little bit of hiccups here and there, and it's been costing the races. So last weekend he did really well, and you can see right here in the crick section here that the ground is really moist in the woods, so these guys aren't going to have to fight the dust in the woods, and that's the hardest part about it. If you got the dust in the woods, it actually goes up, catches those leaves, and it comes right back down, so the track gets really, really dusty in the woods, where the dirt right now is moist, so these guys are going to have to worry about the dust only in the open fields, and when you're in the open fields like that, it's not such a big deal because you can see ahead of you, but in the woods gets really dangerous sometimes. But the track looks perfect here. As you can see, some of the creek had a little bit of water in it, not as much as what we're used to, but at Millfield here, it's either pouring down rain, full-on mud race, or a little bit dusty. I think out of the 20-some years that I've been coming here racing and spectating and announcing, I think I've only seen it perfect like 2 or 3 times. So it's pretty crazy here, but one thing's for sure, the racing is always good.
Well, I can agree with you on that 100%. It's always one extreme or the other, and quite unusual to have a little bit overcast, maybe mid-70s and a bit of breeze here today without either mud or extreme dust. I can tell you, Fred, as we look at this shot at mile marker 8, 2 things come to my mind. 1, is that a national forest? And 2, man, I want to put my helmet on right now.
Yeah, you can see like that. The woods look perfect right now, and the green is such a bright green. It's really nice for picture taking, and these guys are really going to enjoy it here today. You know, last race in West Virginia, we had a lot of rocks. The guys kind of were rock. Where here, we've only got a little bit of rock kind of in the creek beds and stuff, and it's more dirt. So it's going to be a little bit more racing, where at West Virginia, these guys kind of had to be careful. They didn't want to hit a rock and break an A-arm or bend this or bend that. So and here comes our leaders right now, I believe. And it looks like that may be the Sneaky Snake, maybe? On the see right there, another new line. I'm not sure which. That's cool.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, right there, you know, this corner's like that. It's open. You got 20 feet. Those guys are totally doing the right thing, you know, and then somebody might have walked that and said, hey, I can go up that bank, or they might have remembered it from years forward. They didn't have to go all the way down to that turn. So that's a hot line right there, and that guy put himself into the lead.
That guy was in 3rd or 4th position and made that move, Fred, and all of a sudden, new leader in 20 feet.
Yeah, and you know what that does to you? That guy's in the lead right now. He's hasn't led for a while, and that's going to give him that little bit of extra energy. And you know, that crowd like that, you got to watch out when you're at a GNCC race. You got to make sure you're off the track a good amount too, which those people were, and it's going to be exciting to see if these other guys can pick up that line. Like right now, it's starting to get burned in, so there won't be a whole bunch of guys going all the way down. There's Cole Richardson right now, the old Cole Train. He's found that line, and he's pushing his way to the front.
Well, I'm going to guess that people are going to have to find the old line now, Fred. I'm going to guess the old line's obsolete. Hey, and let me tell you what I'm noticing right here. In today's conditions, not going to be a lot of transitional glare, Fred, coming out of the fields into the woods. Not going to be a lot of light dark as you have in bright sunlight conditions. So these guys are not going to have that transition as they're going from the fields to the woods.
No, these woods right here, actually, like you said, they're pretty lit up right now. And as you can see, these guys, when they come into that section, they're going to have to really lean the quad into the hill. You know, they're leaning in to make sure their quad doesn't tip over, which some of the guys with the less experience, you know, they may have a lot of harder time right there. So it looks like we've really got a camera spot in a really good position for today.
Yeah, that gives us an idea of the difference in the rock that we saw last week or 2 weeks ago in West Virginia and what you experience here in southwestern Ohio. More of a shelf-style hard rock out here, more of a shelf-style limestone, that type of thing. More so than the boulder type of rock you'll experience in West Virginia.
Yeah, you know, and our dirt's different. You know, you wouldn't think it's that much of a difference, but we got a lot more clay in the soil back here, and when it's wet, it really gets slippery. But right now, like I said, the woods are in perfect condition. This uphill's a little bit dusty, but as you can see, the wind's taking it away, and we got a bunch of spectators there. Everybody's looking for some excitement. There's one guy that missed the hot line.
Fred, you're an Ohio guy yourself. You're very familiar with all these areas. And, man, it's just a hotbed for both bikes and ATV riders in this area. So many people, I believe, is this still considered the Hocking Valley region right here?
Yeah.
still in the Hocking Valley. Well, I could tell you, when you look at history, so many great riders have come out of this area. And one of the reasons I honestly believe is there's such varied terrain.
Yeah, you're right for sure on that right now. I think we got a little bit of everything here in Ohio, and it's been a hotbed. And the guys are right now, they're out here on the motocross track, and you can see they tame the motocross track down here when we run it this direction. They don't have them big gnarly jumps. They make it good and safe for everybody, and even all these quad guys are doing nice jumps. And I think that's Chris Bithell right now out there on his Suzuki out in front, and he's enjoying it. You know, they watered it, so it's a little bit slippery, so they're taking their time, and he's doubling a little bit of jumps here and there, and he's bringing that thing around for the first lap to put himself down for the very first lap here at their John Penton.
Now, I tell you, Chris looks pretty relaxed right here. Arm position, back posture, head up. I mean, Chris looks like he's really just getting warmed up, to be quite honest with you.
You know, he's having a great year this year. If he says this is going to be his retirement year, where next year he's not going to do so many races, but he's put in so many great races this year. He may be having second thoughts, but then also he is working 40 or 60 hours a week, so when he is out here on the track, he is having a lot of fun racing his quad, where maybe before he was practicing so much and doing so much on the quad, it wasn't as much fun. Where now when he gets away from work, this is his release, this is his fun, and he's just enjoying it more. And he's really come on strong this year, and he's been putting a lot of good rides in on that Suzuki.
Well, that thing's obviously tuned in correct. He's obviously spent a lot of time getting it dialed. And like I said, looks like he's out for a practice session right now to me.
Yeah, you know, it'll be interesting to see when we get the live timing up and running now to see how far Adam McGill has made it up to the front. Because with the woods being like they are, I expected him to catch up to a lot of his other racers in that class right now.
Here at the John Penton, we have a 10-mile track laid out for these guys.
Had a great line.
We take off the start. They're actually...
You know, it was Brian Wolf who had that off-camera section and, you know, got into the lead. So it's Chris Bithell, Brian Wolf, Jared McClure, Walker Fowler, and Adam McGill has moved up to 5th place already.
Fred, we're looking at each other in amazement right now. We just looked at each other. As the timing and scoring come up, I put my finger on the screen. You made your way down through, so here we have number 1 and number 2 running 4 and 5. So guess what? Drama at the beginning of the race? Not really.
You know, right now, if those two together like that, Walker Fowler and Adam McGill could be working together, you know, to get to the front. But, you know, there's Chris Borch back there in 7th. But Adam McGill had to come through a lot of these guys to get to where he's at. So that little first turn crash has just made maybe Adam a little bit mad, I think, because he was riding the wheels off that thing.
And I tell you, man, look at Kevin Yoho, who was involved with Adam. He's back to 12th right now. And like you said, Adam had to pass about 7 riders to get with Walker. Now, let me tell you, you and I have talked about packs, and we've talked about drafting. These two guys are not going to slow each other down. These two guys are going to pick up momentum. These two guys are definitely going to want to make their way up there to Bithell no matter what it takes.
Yeah, you know, right now Chris Bithell's out front. He's going as fast as he can. But when Adam McGill and Walker Fowler get together and they catch up Jared McClure and, you know, that whole little pack, he's got a bunch of wolves behind him, I guess you would say, and he's got to make sure he keeps himself motivated, keeps on going. Right now they're coming through the mulch pile right out here in front of us, and Chris Bithell is definitely stretched out a little bit. Brian Wolf is also still in 2nd. Looks like Jared McClure in 3rd, and Walker Fowler and Adam McGill is 3 or 4 seconds right behind him.
Yeah, they just showed us an update. It now shows Adam in 6th place. So it looks like Bryce got in between Walker and Adam, somewhere between the finish line and our last checkpoint. But I'll be curious to see if that was the opposite, if it's updated this time around.
Well, one thing's for sure, these guys are all going after it today. They're a little bit dusty out here in the open. These guys got to be a little bit cautious, but when they get in the woods, that's when all the passing is going to happen. You know, right now we're showing the mulch pile on the TV. This doesn't look like much, but man, oh man, is it rough. And Matt, as you just pointed out, Cole Richardson is physically 2nd overall on time adjustment.
Are you kidding me, dude? Soon as I saw that come across the screen, I could not believe what I was looking at. You and I had this conversation off mic before the show started. So, hey, with that said, I believe we've got a commercial we need to tend to. We're going to break for a commercial. We'll be right back with the action right after this.
They help you go camping with locations across the nation and thousands of RVs to choose from. General RV is the nation's largest family-owned RV dealer. At General RV, you'll save thousands on everything from trailers that sleep the whole family right up to motorhomes that are amazing and so economical to travel in. General RV is the only dealer who can show you this much and save you this much. With a great deal from General RV, you'll discover how much fun camping can be.
I'm a sore loser.
I'm a sore loser. Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best? The best.
You have to have the best equipment under the hood.
That's why I
only use
Cometic products in my engines.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket
For those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
Live here on RacerTV.com, taking a look at some of the excellent event souvenir apparel that you can pick up yourself right at home. Just simply go to mototees.com and you can order all the past event material as well as merchandise from this year and today's race, featuring Braden Henthorn on the event souvenir shirt. I'm Rodney Tumlo along with Fred Andrews, also Megawatt Matt Watson as he's stepping out and about and going to be checking in with the pits and all the things going on out there here in a few moments while Fred and I bring you the action here from the booth. And we're watching right now riders at the 2-mile marker where Chris Bithell continues to lead. Brian Wolf and Jared McClure physically on the racetrack, 1, 2, and 3. But a quick look of the overall has Cole Richardson sitting in the overall second place position right now. And he's running only about 3 seconds off the pace of Chris Bithell. Here's an interesting bit of information for you. And that is the fact that Adam McGill got his first podium here from the Pro-Am class in 2005, 10 years ago. So maybe we'll see a little bit of a repeat of that possibly with Cole Richardson, because I know that's been quite a bit of a goal of his. As we're watching right now, I think we're out near the 8-mile marker if you're watching on RacerTV.com, and we have got ourselves a really tricky section of racetrack. A small crowd beginning to form down there, Fred Andrews, and what looked like wouldn't be a whole lot of action all of a sudden is turning into a rather large focal point, it looks like.
Yeah, Rodney, that's where we saw Brian Wolf actually take the lead on the first lap, and it really was all nice and leaf and foliage growing up over, and these guys have actually now made it into the main line. But as you can see from the side of it, there's a big giant rock there on the bottom and an off-camber section. If these guys don't actually hit it right, they actually have to go all the way back down and don't make it. Right now it's even getting steeper and steeper, so I look for that to even get trickier and trickier as the day goes on. You know, some of that water's getting drug up there out of the creek, so it's getting really slippery, Rodney.
It most certainly is, and that could be a key factor, a key place in the race today, believe it or not. It's line choice is going to be critical, and I think lap traffic can play a factor in which line you're going to choose.
Yeah, you know, right when the leaders come down to that section, they might know, yeah, I can make that thing easy enough, but when the lapper guy's ahead of them, they're thinking, well, should I or shouldn't I? And if he says, okay, I'll follow you, and that guy messes up a little bit and gets stuck, you know, the guy can go right on around you if he takes the main line. So that's what we like to see. We like to see a lot of different options out there on the track. So when you catch a slower guy, you can either follow or you can pass. That makes racing a whole lot more fun.
It most certainly does, and we are now about 29, working on 30 minutes now into this 2-hour race. Again, Bithell leading Wolf and McClure physically on the racetrack. Walker Fowler was running fourth physically on the track, fifth on the overall time adjustment. Adam McGill, after that horrendous first turn crash, man, I mean, you could, a lot of folks, I'm sure, might have said, oh, there goes the championship, and I'm sure that everybody started panicking when they saw that happen, because that's something that we typically don't see out of Adam McGill, especially now that Adam's had the points lead. He gets a little bit antsy and a little bit scary when those guys go down there in that first turn like that.
Yeah, you know, Rodney, like I said earlier, when Adam had that crash, he wasn't even excited. He kind of got off the machine, got away from it, and the bike kind of tumbled, and he was in no real hurry to get back to the bike. So I think that's where he's not pushing the issue. He knows he's got 2 hours to do it. Yep. He just got back on the bike. It's okay, I'll get as many guys as I can the first lap, and you know, he's matured so much, and he didn't panic at all. He got on the bike, took off nice and slow, and said, I'm going to get pick them off as I can.
That's amazing, too. I mean, you know, he has got such maturity, and being his age, you would say, yeah, at his age, 26, 27, 28 years old, whatever it is, you know, that's an age he should be maturing at. But you got to realize, too, that oftentimes, you know, it takes a little more in racing to mature like that, especially whenever you've never been in a situation that he's in. And you would think that, you know, oftentimes when you get in this scenario, a panic button all of a sudden starts flashing, a panic light starts to flash. But that shows the maturity of him. That shows how much he's learned over the course of the last 10 years or so in GNCC racing. And honestly, it may be the key to helping him maintain a points lead after today's race.
Yeah, he knows he has a big points lead, so he gets as many points, maximum points for if he does have a trouble. He had a little trouble today, and he's already put himself where he needs to be. You know, he was 5th or 6th that first lap, so he's passed a whole bunch of guys. He's behind Walker Fowler, and that's who's in the hunt with him for the championship. So if he just stays behind Walker and lets Walker actually carry him forward, he can key off of him, he can learn stuff. And like I said, Rodney, it was the first lap, so there's no reason for Adam McGill to be in panic mode.
No doubt about that, Fred Andrews. As we look over this illustrious facility, an ever-changing facility at that. 25 years ago, 1990 was the first year that we raced here at the Weisco John Penton GNCC, then known as Burr Oaks and a part of the 100-miler series. And actually, Fred, that might have been a little bit before your time, but the thing about it is, over the course of the 25 times that we've been here prior to this, you've been here a lot of those times, and you've actually won here before.
Yeah, Rodney, 1993 was the first year I was here, and I was pretty good in Ohio, either won or, you know, a lot, or had trouble. But I've won a lot of races here, and this mulch pile here that we're looking at, Rodney, it's only going to get rougher and rougher as the day goes on. It's almost like being in Florida, big giant sand whoops, except for this stuff here gets like square edge and curvy, and it's fun to watch, but at the end of this race, these guys aren't going to be having much fun going around there, that's for sure.
Here's the interesting thing about that mulch pile. I can remember when they first placed that mulch pile over there, and I think really, in reality, that was placed to use and utilize on the motocross track to help maintain some of the moisture. But we came here after a year or so. I mean, it was there, and Jeff Russell put a couple of arrows up in it. He and Bjorn and the guys said, "Look, we're going to run through the mulch pile." And we started running through the mulch pile, and I don't know if you remember that first year, but man, what a transformation the mulch pile itself has made over the course of time. It is so much different, but uniquely, it's still, like you said, man, I mean, it develops the same way each and every year.
Yeah, right. I even put that in my race report to our KR4 riders. Is one thing that Millfield's known for now, the John Penton, is the mulch pile, you know, because it's changing every lap. And last year, a couple of our riders actually did endos in there, and you think a line's good, and the next lap it's not. So that's just one more exciting spot. And the nice thing about it is it's right out here in the open. The spectators can see it. There's a lot of cool spots for spectators here to go and watch.
No doubt. Look how deep those whoops are starting to get now. And it seems like since I first started watching on the first lap, they have deepened quite a bit. And I can only imagine what it's going to look like, not only by the end of the 2 hours of racing today, but can you imagine after tomorrow's motorcycle racing and that 3-hour race tomorrow what this place is going to look like? We think it looks bad on Saturday. Sunday's when it really gets gnarly.
Yeah, Rodney, you know, like you say, the quads are out there today. They're making the track. They're out there in the woods. They're going to pull a little bit of the moisture out of the woods for the motorcycles on Sunday, but they actually help out in a few spots, too. Right now, like we said on the first lap, they had all those leaves and all that foliage up, and the quads are actually going through there and making lines for the bike guys on Sunday so that they can use. And it's going to be exciting to see if these guys get in here wheel to wheel, what really happens in the mulch pile. I mean, you know, if there's going to be any passes going on there, because it's getting deeper in the center, so these guys are starting to run on the edges, trying to find smooth spots already on this first lap. And like I said on the woods, Rodney, you know, the woods are good. The open fields right now are a little bit dusty, but we got some wind blowing, so that's going to help pull and push all the dust off the track, and these guys are really going to have a good ride today compared to what it could have been. You know, with the sun not out today, we were blessed that way. Usually the sun's out, it's real hot, everybody's worried about conditioning and drinking fluids and the track being so dusty, or it's so muddy everybody's dreading it, where today it's really the best it's been in a while.
Yeah, these conditions out here are amazing. I mean, we got those overcast skies out here today. It is dry, though. We can see that in the dusty sections of the track and some of the open fields. But all in all, man, I mean, this track, the consistency of the dirt through the woods and through the low-lying areas, you couldn't ask for more perfect conditions than what we're racing with right here. It's Chris Bithell at last check still remaining the leader out there on board the number 7. He had opened up what I saw there physically in the pits to be close to about a 10-second lead or so over the second-place rides. Riders we're keeping eyes on, obviously, are going to be Jared McClure, Walker Fowler, and Adam McGill. They're a little bit further back off pace right now, but we're going to watch them and see how things are going. Also, Chris Borich, all the way back in a 9th-place spot. Now, Chris is a rider that has run here quite a bit, 5 times, actually. There's Chris Bithell making his way out near the 5-mile marker now, and got a clock on things there, Fred, and you'll know here in just a moment just exactly how much time we have between these guys. But yeah,
wow.
We're 10+ seconds now easily.
Yeah, he's really stretching out, Rodney. Chris Bithell's not playing around today. He's getting that big old lead on these guys.
Well, you know, he says he works 60-hour week out there. There goes Sneaky Snake, and is that, I believe,
Walker Fowler, then Adam McGill. So they're 2nd, 3rd, and 4th are together, and Chris Bithell's actually put some time on those guys, which is pretty impressive because those guys are working together and pushing forward, and he's doing it all on his own.
Well, I don't know what you got as far as time, but I know it was at least 25 seconds, I think, between the first and second, well, the second group of riders coming through there just a moment ago. And here comes, that might have been, was that Bryson Neal quite possibly?
Might have been Bryson Neal, I think it was Chris Borich right behind him.
So that makes a lot of sense because Bryson Neal was behind Adam McGill at the finish line, but there was only like a second that separated those guys. Landon Wolf and Chris Borich were behind Bryson Neal, so that's making a lot of sense out here at the 5-mile marker. But I'm amazed, honestly, at really how far apart these guys are starting to get stretched out here. You know, there's gaps in between a lot of these positions.
Yeah, Rodney, you know, I was thinking the same thing. It seemed like they've really stretched it out there this first lap going into this race. And that's kind of unusual for these guys.
Johnny Gallagher making his way up the hill there on the number 16. And as these riders make their way around here on lap number 2, don't forget to tweet your podium predictions to hashtag GNCC Live, and your chance to win $250 in AMSOIL product comes by doing that. Who do you think is going to win? Do you think that Chris Bithell's going to hang on to it? Do you think Cole Richardson's going to do the wild thing from second row? What about Brian Wolf, Jared McClure, Walker Fowler? Who do you think is going to be on the podium at the end of this race? Just pick 3 of them and then hashtag it and tweet it out, and you will have a chance to win $250 from our friends at AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. And as we watch this racetrack begin to develop throughout the course of this race here today, we can see that there are the dry sections. We can see that they're the low-lying sections with the creek bottoms in it. We know that there's hill climbs out there. We know there's field sections. Let's find out a little bit more about it and how it's all laid out by our good friend, Mr. Barry Hawk.
Hello, everyone. We're here at the John Penton. We have a 10-mile track laid out for these guys. When they take off the start, they're actually going to be starting around the 2-mile marker. Once they get it past the 2 out to the 3-mile marker, at the 3-mile marker, we got a pretty good little hill climb. The guys got a few options to get up that. Once they get up that, they're going to head out to the 4-mile marker. At the 4-mile marker, it's we call it the X Hollow. There's quite a few trails in there. They're going to come up through a creek bed. When they get to the end of that creek bed, they got to make a left and go up a really rocky uphill. They got about eight or 9 different lines up that uphill. So the far outside line's the safest, but it's the slowest. So that's going to be an interesting point of the race. Again, that's at the 4-mile marker. From there up to the 5-mile marker, about the 5.5, they're going to drop down a really steep downhill and get into another creek section. They're going to run through that creek, and then they're going to make a turn and go up another rocky uphill. It's really wide there. I don't see there'll be too many issues there. It'll be a good passing point. From there out to the 6-mile marker to the 7. The 7-mile marker, there's it's probably the steepest hill on the property. The guys, there's about 7 lines up that hill. Again, when they first get to the hill, they can make the left and go up the hill. It's the steepest, but it's the fastest. If they don't want to go up that line, they can take the far outside. From there, they're going to get past the 8-mile marker to the 9, and then to 9-mile marker, they're going to come onto the moto track into the finish. and do the finish, and then back out towards the start line, and then they'll hit the 1 mile marker. And just behind me here is the mulch pile. It doesn't look too bad right now, but by the end of the race, it gets really, really chopped out and whooped out, and it looks like you can fly through it, but it's really, really rough. So it's a pretty good point of the race. There's not much passing in there. It's just if you're tired, it's easy to make a mistake in there. From there, that's where they're going to get around that mulch pile and tie back into the start. So other than that, there's one other creek crossing I forgot to mention. We're going to have our live shot there. They're going to come down through a creek, and then they can turn out of the creek early and go up a really steep opening up an uphill, or if they don't want to go up that steep little bank, they can go clear down to the end of the creek and turn out. So I think that's going to be pretty good spectating, pretty good TV there. So other than that, there's really not a lot of mud out there, a little bit of dust in the open, but all in all, I think it's a really fun track, and hopefully everybody enjoys it and leaves here with a smile on their face.
All right, thanks a lot, Barry Hawk, our Lead track description there, and very detailed, and we've seen.
And he called it right.
He did, didn't he?
Yep, that off-camera section he was talking about is an exciting spot. As you can see, there's a bunch of spectators there, and it's only going to get worse, Rodney.
It is, it is. Hey, Levi Joy, if you happen to be within the sound of my voice, you need to stop down to rider registration. Levi Joy. Well, Fred Andrews, watching this race out here at the 8 mile marker where Barry was talking about, this is the beginning of the section. Here we go now. And
I think that's
actually,
Chris
wow,
Biffle.
it's gotten a lot better there, hasn't it? Was that our leader going?
Yeah, I believe that was Chris Biffle coming through that section right there.
Keep a close eye on that just to make sure. So he's got some lap traffic between himself and that. Or is that? No,
yeah,
that's Fowler right
Fowler.
there. Man, that's tightened right back up. Remember how big that gap was only a couple of miles ago out near the 5 or so, and now look how tight things have gotten. I mean, we were looking at 25 seconds or so between first and second. That looked to be not even hardly 10 or 15.
No, Rodney, you're correct on that. I think that little trio's actually picked the pace up, and they're starting to reel in Chris Biffle right now.
Wow, interesting turn of events here as we roll through lap
Which is
number
what we
2.
expect.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys have been throwing so many different stuff at us every race, so it's not hard to believe that those guys are catching up.
Now, you as a race fan in general, I mean, you got to be excited about what we see. I mean, I heard you talking about a little while ago, the different number of winners that we've seen alone here in 2015 has really made this championship exciting. There's Chris Borge making his way through now, and it looks like he may have gotten around Bryson Neal, so he's making some progress out there, it looks like, Fred Andrews.
Yeah, Ronnie, like we said, everybody's got confidence that they can win because they've been up there, and it's been really good for what we're doing here. And in the booth, you know, usually you just kind of talk here or there, but these guys make it so exciting. You and I never know what to expect, so it's a lot of fun for us to be able to see it all happen on TV, where before we never could. We didn't know what happened until they came around to the finish line, Rodney.
It was all speculation before, but now through the wonderful art of television, of course, the great technology that we've been able to manipulate to work in our favor. There's the Johnny GNCC himself. Johnny Gallagher will be in the booth tomorrow, racing out there on the racetrack today. But I tell you, yes, through the great technologies that we've had, we've been able to manipulate to our advantages to use out here in the woods. We're doing things they say is not possible, but somehow or another it's happening out there. But we've been able to see so much. I've told so many people, Fred, since we started doing the TV coverage, that I've watched more GNCC racing, literally, physically watched the racing, than I have throughout my entire tenure as a GNCC announcer. And this is, I know for the race fans at home, it's got to be a great addition. Here we are out on the world-famous, well, it is now world-famous Sunday Creek Raceway motocross track, probably one of the best set race courses in the nation, to be honest with you, with that amphitheater type setting. But believe it or not, only used a couple of times a year during this GNCC, and they also have some area qualifiers. Had some ATV motocross nationals here a few years ago, but all in all, it's basically a top amateur track and top GNCC track nowadays.
Man, as you can watch Chris Biffle come around that track, he is flat out getting it across some big flat turns, sliding it sideways, and man, he's just trying to put as much time as he can on those guys. It'll be interesting to see here when they come to the finish if these guys have caught up to him at all or not. But like you said, Rodney, Howard does a great job with this track. He's got some nice jumps on it. It's nice for spectators. It's in this big valley, so you can almost stand anywhere and you can see the whole motocross track.
You can, and it's a very picturesque and one that has taken many years to reach where it is. I know coming here my first time, and well, the mid-90s. I'm amazed to see the differences that we're seeing now as Chris Bithell checks in now 14 and a half seconds ahead of Walker Fowler. And 7 seconds back to the sneaky snake, Jared McClure. Adam McGill is in 4th place. And now we wait on the number 5 ride as we watch McGill there.
You know, it's kind of weird, Ryan. You know, Adam McGill put that big charge in at the front. He caught up to those guys, and he may have spent a lot of energy. And right now, we may be just kind of cruising to recoup some energy because Adam, you know, like I say, Walker Fowler's actually starting to get away from him.
Yeah, and it might be a situation where he just might be trying to ride a calculated race at this point, too, knowing that he had the tides against him at the beginning with that first turn crash. Maybe he's not wanting to push it. You know, it's really hard to imagine.
By definition, Grand National Cross Country Racing is
out there.
A cross country
but,
style.
Oftentimes, I mean, they're thinking a lot of different things. In the pits now over here, and that is Stephanie Parton, who's
kind of an early fuel stop.
Yeah, it is.
You know, 46 minutes into it, and they're already fueling, right? I didn't mean to cut you off, but.
No, actually, it's a strategy I think that Chris is going to use whenever next lap when he's pushed so hard and maybe he might be under a lot more pressure or maybe possibly falling behind. It might be his chance to catch back up. But I was talking about Stephanie Parton there actually helping in that fuel stop there. Stephanie, a former champion from about 10 years or so ago, and good to see her back. She's an Ohio native, and she was over on the start earlier this morning. Good to see her back in the thick of things there on the pro row as well, as we see another pit stop taking place there.
There's Jared McClure.
So a little different strategies. You got to wonder there what their strategies are and what their particular mindsets of thinking are. Like you said, I mean, we're not even an hour into this race. I mean, what you got to be thinking is these guys are wanting to use that quick early stop to their advantage, I think, late in the race.
Yeah, so we've got 2 of our top 4 stopped, and now Chris Borich is also stopping for fuel.
New goggles for Chris Borich as well. Calm, cool, collected pit stop for the champ.
And Brian Wolf's coming in.
So some calculated decisions by some of our riders. About half the field electing to stop here on lap 2, while the rest of the field are electing to go on. And you got to wonder if that's going to play favors or not for either or when we finally get late in this race now. It's Bithell now making his way out by the 2-mile marker. And let's look at how he is railing through that mulch pile right now.
Yeah, you can see that mulch pile's getting rougher and rougher and rougher like we talked about earlier, so it'll be good to see it here at the end. Here comes Adam McGill in here. We'll see how he's got that Honda working.
That's up to 3rd now, it looks like, as that was Walker Fowler that just went by, and there's Adam McGill. Obviously, Bithell stopping has tightened things up. McClure also stopped for a pit stop, so that's how Adam McGill got around him. So McClure's back to the number 4 spot.
You can see, Ryan, these guys come around this turn. They're all getting to the back of the quad to keep that front end light, to let the rear wheel go up and down in the hole, but they're actually trying to keep the front to like skip from bump to bump to make it a smoother ride for them.
Amazing how aggressive these riders are through this section of the racetrack. Very few of the top level riders anyway are taking it daintily. There's no feeling your way through it. They're attacking this area of the racetrack as they appear to be attacking the entire track here today.
Yeah, because you know, right, you have to. If you can see a guy come through here and lets the front wheel just ride through all them bumps, you're just beating yourself up. And they're just trying to keep their front end light like that to skim across them bumps. And Chris Borich just takes a quick look over his shoulder, see who's coming. And
whoa, look at that, got a battle going on. That's Brian Wolf, and was that? No, that would have been Bryson Neal, quite possibly.
I think it was Bryson Neal passing Brian Wolf right there.
I believe it was. So Wolf was actually running 7th. Neal was 8th, and we see him putting the pressure on. So that was Neal that we saw. I believe we'll be seeing Landon Wolf followed by Johnny Gallagher making their way into the mulch pile next here at the 2-mile markers. We're now 50 minutes into this race. Again, Chris Bithell leading Walker Fowler. The gap cut from about 15 seconds now down to about 5 with Adam McGill in 3rd, Jared McClure in 4th, and Chris Borich rounds out your top 5. GNCC Live will return after this.
any engine, any season. At home, at the track, or on the trail. AMSOIL for any engine.
You love racing, all kinds of racing? How about pro motocross, flat track, road race, ATV, GNCC, supermoto, enduro cross? Well, we've got what you're looking for. Welcome to the Racer X Show with Greg White, presented by Chaparral Motorsports. New every Tuesday on RacerTV.com.
This Racer TV live broadcast is brought to you by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. By Rocky Mountain ATV MC, get ready. By Maxxis Tires, find your flow. And powered by Yamaha Generators.
Welcome back to GNCC Live, just outside the shadows of Ohio University, founded in 1804. The state of Ohio, founded in 1803. Of course, the city of Athens was named after the Greek city of Athens for the city of learning, because Ohio University was located here. And now, of course, they enjoy great academics as well as some great ball teams, and all around just a great atmosphere. Athens, Ohio, a very unique area in and of itself, and Ohio University plays a big role in that. As we welcome you back here to the Russell Family Farm, just outside of the city of Athens, outside the small village of Millfield, Ohio, where we are running the 26th time here, the Whitesco John Penton GNCC, and it's history since 1990. Fred Andrews, along with myself here, Rodney Tomlin, Matt Watson out and about, going to be covering the details. And Matt, I know that we just saw some things happening over in the pits there a few moments ago with some early pit stops, and we'll get some updates with you here in just a moment to find out maybe some of the strategies that these folks are trying to come up with in this particular race, because myself and Fred Andrews here are kind of scratching our head. We were talking there off break, Fred, about that pitting strategy. You know, the pit is actually located at the first part of the racetrack, of the lap at the 2 mile marker rather than later in the lap. And I could see a pit stop on that particular lap at that particular time if it was a little later in the lap. But that, to me, seemed a little early. And you, as a fuel whiz yourself, fuel consumption wizard.
I don't know about a fuel whiz. I ran my guy out of gas a few weeks ago, but they stopped. It was under 50 minutes. So this race being 2 hours, 46 and 46, 52, they're going to be short. So are they going to have to stop again, Rodney?
I don't know.
I mean, if the calculations are right, they would. But like you said, once they go through the finish, they come to the pit area, and then they got to make a whole nother lap. So it's not like they could press it for maybe a mile or two. They actually have 8 more miles to go after the pit area. So, I mean, my guesstimation is, yeah, they're going to have to, where Walker Fowler and Adam McGill are going to stop once. They're going to gas this lap, so it's just going to be over an hour, and then they know that they can go the next run.
It'd be interesting to see what happens and how this all pans out, as we are now 57 minutes and about 30 seconds working on, 55, I guess, minutes and 21 seconds into this race. Chris Bithell, Walker Fowler, Jared McClure. Now that's changed. Actually, in the pit stops, McClure stopped. McGill got around McClure. Now Bithell did stop also. We saw a 15-second gap. That gap was closed up to 5 seconds. The last time we saw them coming through this mulch pile, Fred Andrews, we saw that Walker Fowler was within eyesight of Chris Bithell exiting the mulch pile, and that may or may not spell some pretty hard times for Chris Bithell ahead on this lap.
Yeah, I think Walker Fowler can see him now, But Chris Bithell also knows that Walker has to fuel, so Chris is going to try to keep ahead of him and try to pull some ground on him, but then Walker's doing just the opposite. He knows he has to fuel, so he's going to push a little bit harder to get close to him for when he does fuel, that he doesn't lose a whole bunch of time, or maybe even try to get around him if he can to pit and get out before him. But Walker's definitely going to have to stop. Chris Bithell knows that, so that's going to kind of be a little cat and mouse game going there. And then you got Adam McGill also. Adam McGill's got a pit stop this time too, so he's got to know that he's got to try to push a little bit harder to close the gap, because he's going to lose the time that he gained.
There you go. And again, it's all about strategy, how it's all going to pan out for these guys as we check in with our top 20 overall. We haven't talked a lot about, but it's Bithell, Fowler, McGill, McClure, Cole Richardson rounds out your top 5. Now, we saw him second there on the first lap of racing. Richardson is now 5th overall in adjusted time. Chris Borch is 6th overall. Brian Wolf in 7th. Bryson Neal 8th. Landon Wolf in 9th. Johnny Gallagher 9th in class, and now rounding out the top 10 overall. Jay Shadron 11th. Kevin Yoho in 12th. XC2 Pro-Am second place, 1 minute and 13 seconds down. Cody Collier is running 13th overall. Josh Merritt, the number 13 and 14th overall. Braden Henthorn, the rider featured on the event t-shirt this weekend, is 15th overall. A.J. Kuntz, the 45 out of Fayetteville, Pennsylvania, your third place ride in the XC2 Pro-Am class. Got about 1 minute and 9 seconds between himself and second, and only a 10-second gap above Randy Hamilton. And then we got Marty Christopherson 19th. Blake Tornes is rounding out the top 20, and I believe that may be Megawatt Matt Watson standing by with one of those reports we've been looking for from the pits there. Matt?
Actually, Rodney, just putting the numbers together myself, and I think you guys are correct. As far as the strategy goes, after talking to some of these guys down here, there is going to probably be another pit after that early pit, so strategy definitely going to come into a play.
Now, did you have a chance to talk with the folks and ask why they elected to go with the early pit stop like that? Was it maybe a miscalculation, a minor forethought that they maybe didn't think all the way through?
Actually, to be honest with you, no, Rodney. What I did too is talk to a couple of the people standing back behind, and what they said was when the rider come through, the first rider come through before we made the call, actually needed goggles and such. So that kind of led to a little chain reaction down there, but I don't know how that would be without them being teammates.
That makes a lot of sense. Thanks a lot, Matt Watson. And that makes a lot of sense, you know, to go in and change that, have to change the goggles like that. It makes sense to go ahead and top the fuel off so you can get a little extra mileage out of that quite possibly. But, yeah, you know, the chain reaction that was set off, maybe a couple of guys saw something going on, so they decided that it was time for them to pull in too. So maybe that one goggle check set that chain of events off. And, you know, it could change the face of this race, believe it or not.
Yeah, Rod, you know, like when you see another pit crew going and they're gassing, then you start going, oh, shoot, am I guessing this right? Or maybe I don't know what I should do, and then you just do it because they did it, which is, you know, a bad idea. But if you had for stop for goggles, like you said, if you stop for anything, fill the bike up.
And everybody did get goggles, so that might have been what folks were working on. There were some muddy areas, and remember, those guys were pretty tight together there, especially on that first lap or so. So there's a good chance that that might have been in the back of the mind of everybody that stopped. It might have been a goggle stop more so than a gas stop, and that does kind of make sense. We wouldn't necessarily think that, but if you get that water splashed up on the goggles, get out in one of these dusty fields, the dust collects on it, then all of a sudden your vision is impaired, and you go through those tear-offs and those pull-offs and everything pretty doggone quick.
Yeah, if you can't see, you're going to go backwards. So it is a good move. If you do need goggles, get your goggles, get some gas, and then towards the end of the race here, they're going to be spread out even more. So the last gas stop might not be as important, but it all depends on how they stack up right now. If Chris Bithell comes in a little bit behind Walker Fowler can gas and take off, well, then it works against Chris Bithell because Chris has to stop one more time where Walker doesn't. But if Chris can stretch it out a little bit and Walker gets some gas, and then, you know, then he's ahead of him still. So it's really going to be interesting to see how they come through this next time, because that'll really set the stage too. But like you said earlier, if Walker is in the lead and Walker says, okay, I'm done, I don't have to gas anymore, what happens if his goggles get muddy and dirty and then he has to stop getting new ones? So it's, you never know, you know, is it right or wrong? You don't know till it's all said and done.
I guess, yeah, exactly. You can go back and assess the situation and find out how it actually worked best for you. But right now, Working best for Chris Bithell out front. Fowler in second. McGill up to the number 3 spot. We went through the top 20 there just a moment ago, and we're going to run down class by class as we get set for our Mid-State Chevy Midway report here at just past the 1 hour mark in this Whitesco John Penton GNCC. Want to say thanks to our friends at Mid-State Chevrolet, where they stack them deep and sell them cheap, located there in the heart of West Virginia at the Flatwoods exit off I-79. And that again, XC1 Pro class is Bithell, Fowler, McGill, McClure, Borich, Brian Wolf in 6th, actually 7th now, Bryson Neal, and I think the Neal might have gotten around Wolf. We got Landon Wolf back in the number 8 spot, 9th spot Johnny Gallagher, and rounding out the top 10 will be Jay Shadron. XC2 is Cole Richardson leading Cody Collier, 1:14 seconds. Tommy Kuntz, or AJ Kuntz, back 9 seconds back. In 3rd, Cameron Bruce, the 427 out of Darlington, PA, only 10 seconds behind him in 4th. Randy Hamilton, who was smiling rather confidently earlier today, riding the number 20 out of Denville, New Jersey, running in 5th. Marty Christopherson, the number 18, out of Richford, New York, is 6th. Blake Tornes, the 31, is 7th out of Waterford, Ohio. Greenfield, Ohio, home to Bryson Hops, the 223. 9th place, the 745 of Anthony Herring out of Waverly, West Virginia, and St. Mary's, West Virginia, home to James Green, the 22, rounding out the top 10. College A class, Greg Covert is leading the College A class. He is also 21st overall and your top amateur as far as today's racing is concerned right now. He's out of Ithaca, New York, with the 73 of Kenny Schick, only 0.6 of a second behind him. They had a major battle going on. If you look at the difference here, Schick was about 7 seconds faster than Covert that last time around, so those guys have been doing quite a bit of battling. The 48 of Christian Meyer, running in the number 3 spot at Oldenburg, Indiana. 4th place, Devin Feehan, the 406 from Windsor, New York, and rounding out the top 5, the 707, Anthony Barnes out of Paw Paw, West Virginia. Junior 822 plus class, Steve Covert out of Ithaca, New York, the 702, running in the lead by about 41.5 seconds over the 913 of Dustin Piggott out of Belleville, West Virginia. Simon Bissell, the 53 from Lewiston, New York, runs in 3rd. The 32, Nathan Hornacek from Norton, Ohio, is 4th. And Brent Henke, the 896 from Vienna, West Virginia, rounds out your top 5. The Vet A 28 plus class in this case, I guess. Matt Hanna and Matt Pierce, a couple of former XC2 Pro-Am class riders, and maybe even dabbling in the XC1 a little bit. New Concord, Ohio, home for Hannah Pierce out of Corning, Ohio, running about 14.5 seconds apart. Dustin Hendershot, 1:20 seconds off pace with him now in 3rd. 728, Walter Shoemaker out of West Mansfield, Ohio, is 4th. Tom Jansky, the 404 from Brookfield, Connecticut, rounds out your top 5. Senior AB 38 plus class from the Media All-Stars team, backed by Lone Star Racing. Mark Batson, the 636 out of LaSalle, Michigan, leading 1:35 seconds over the 705 of Rusty Repass out of Mooresville, North Carolina. 3rd place, the 41, John Galata from Waxhaw, North Carolina. 4th place, the 42, Aaron Delancey from St. Louisville, Ohio. And rounding out the top 5 there is Brian Foltz. Foltz out of Sharpsville, PA. Closest battle in this one's 11 seconds between 4th and 5th. The rest are at least a minute to a minute and a half in all the other positions in that top 5. College B class is Jeremy Hill out of Pacific, Missouri, a 37.6 second lead over the 457 of Blake Meyer from Oldenburg, Indiana. 4th place is then the 498 of Braden Schick from Cranberry, PA. Tyler Creel out of Millwood, West Virginia, rounds out your top 5. Junior B class, 22 plus. 77, Eric Holyfield from Bakersville, North Carolina, leading the 818 of Cody Wolford out of Dry Fork, West Virginia. 3rd place, 356, Brian Felicki from Poland, Ohio. In the 4th spot, the 81, Robert Matt from Westminster, Maryland. And the 516, Chasen Bush from Flemington, West Virginia, rounds out your top 5 there in the Junior B class. Your Vet B class, Dell Batson, another one of those Media All-Star riders, and backed by the folks at Lone Star. 671 from Ida, Michigan, leading there by 18 seconds over Jeremy Gouchard, who actually got the whole shot in this class out of Mansfield, Ohio. The 400, Rocky Anderson from New Stanton, PA, is 3rd. 119, Jason Dillard out of Charleston, West Virginia, is 4th. And John Southside out of Warwick, Rhode Island, rounds out your top 5. And that's your Mid-State Chevy Midway report, brought to you by your friends at Mid-State Chevrolet, located off the Flatwood exits there in the heart of West Virginia. They stack them deep, they sell them cheap. They are the home of your next new car, truck, or van, and the official truck provider of this GNCC Racing Nation. Well, Fred Andrews, as we continue to watch things unfold here, an hour and 6 minutes now into this race. We're watching out by the 5 mile marker, and honestly, man, it looks like pretty much more of the same of what we've been seeing there earlier. Speeds, though do seem to be picking up. The intensity of this race really starting to reach kind of a fever pitch. You know, this is a time in the race where we're expecting maybe to see these guys go on a little rest mode for a little bit before the final push in that last half hour.
Yeah, Ryan, like I said, this next fuel stop, this next lap coming into the finish line is going to be really interesting to see if Walker, Fowler, and Bithell, and McClure, and McGill, to see where they're all out when they all have to pit this lap and sort themselves out a little bit. You know, we know that Walker Fowler's going to come in, he's going to fuel, Adam McGill's going to fuel, and they're going to be set for the rest of the day. They won't have to fuel again unless they need goggles or something happens like that, where Chris Bithell and Jared McClure look like they're going to have to fuel. But if their pit crew says, hey, we only used this much gas, we could have won another lap, they're going to say, hey, let's just run it. And it looks like right now we just missed Walker Fowler went by in the lead now. And there's Adam McGill. Looks like Chris Bithell in second, Adam McGill in third place. So the times are already starting to change and pick up. These guys are starting to really go after it.
Did you see the McGill Mafia out there? Those green shirts in that turn as Adam McGill made that left or that right-hand turn there at the 8 mile marker to go up that hill climb. Those guys were getting pretty amped up. They see how close right now Adam McGill is. After that first turn crash, maybe we can go back and take a look at that here in just a minute. But, I mean, to see where he has gone to where he is now in contention for not only a podium in that third-place position right now, Fred Andrews, but also reeling those guys in for possibly looking at challenging for a win right now.
You know, Adam McGill did the right thing. He gets out there, gets his shirts out there, gets his fans into it, because, Rodney, when you're out there, and me as a racer, I know that when I see people rooting me on, hooting and hollering, it gives you that extra strength that you need to keep on pushing through, even sometimes when you get real tired. And there's Chris Borch. He's heading up the hill right now. He's starting to maybe catch up a little bit. I believe he was in, what, 6th place the last lap?
Well, he's 6th overall, 5th physically on the track. And Cole Richardson, your XC2 Pro-Am leader, was actually the 5th place overall on time adjustments, but it's only a 6-second difference right now, and actually Chris is turning about a 20-25 second faster lap. So if that continues to be the same, we consider that, then Chris will probably be not only physically 5th at the end of this lap, but also time adjusted 5th. As I heard you and Megawatt talking in the early part of the race, that these guys in the early part, when they get up there like that, oftentimes we see them fade back just a little bit, but not all the time. And who's to say that Cole Richardson won't get that train rolling again and start moving back into contention. But right now, we continue to watch and wait to see how it is all going to pan out. Bithell now in the number 2 spot as Walker Fowler has gotten around him. We see that there at the 8 mile marker. And here's your leaders now out near the 10 mile marker at the moto track here at Sunday Creek Raceway, and I believe that is your leader, Walker Fowler, out there in that number 1 spot, and he appears at the moment to be by himself on that moto track.
Yeah, right now, Rodney, too. He knows on this moto track that he's going to have to fuel, so, you know, it's like I'm beating a dead horse about this fuel thing, but he's going to try to put as much time as he can on Bithell, so when he gets fuel, he can get out ahead of him, because, you know, he's not going to want to try to pass him again.
Look at that.
There's a little quad whip there.
Yeah, he did.
Looks like he's been spending a little more time on the moto track.
You know, and Walker coming from a 2-wheel side of things, and we've talked about this before, being told make the decision 2 or 4 wheels. He went with the 4 wheels, but you can still, he's got a lot of style of a motorcycle rider, a 2-wheel rider out there, no doubt about that. As he wraps up now lap number 3 here, and we are an hour.
The 2-lap board is out. 2-lap board is out, Rodney. You know something else too about that? Walker Fowler did that, did a little whip right there, and the crowd probably yelling and screaming. So you know Walker's got a smile on his face. You know, and that just helps your motivation out there on the track.
It does, and there goes Chris Bithell through 13.5 seconds down now. And this might be, now whether or not it'll take 13 seconds for a pit stop for Walker Fowler remains to be answered. That would be an awful long pit stop, but at least Chris might be able to get back within sight. And depending, he might be able to close up some ground between now and the 2 mile marker there where the pits are located. We're watching on Racer TV, and many of you race fans around the track here at Sunday Creek Raceway and the John Penton GNCC watching the 521 of Adam McGill, making his way now off the moto track and up an old FMF power point there. That's a pretty steep hill climb, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Ron, it's definitely a steep hill. You know, the TV really doesn't do it much justice, too, but you got to think about Adam McGill. He was dead last off the start.
All right, Racer TV fans, we're here with our first winner of the day, Ronnie Rush.
And here comes Walker Fowler in for fuel. Give him a quick goggles, getting some gas, and it'd be interesting to see how much fuel he does use.
Wow, that was a long stop. I mean, a long gas.
A lot of gas, but, man, they had got it down to a science. They were in and out quick. Martin Ottman and the crew doing a good job.
McGill going to have to stop now, so...
now, there's an interesting thing.
Wow.
Bithell's going to stop again this lap.
Yeah.
So then he'll be done. He won't have to stop anymore.
But they didn't gas.
Himself.
I don't think they... No, he's
like
got
he might
an
be
issue.
having some problems.
So there goes McGill back out now in front of Chris Bithell, and that should put Adam McGill now into the number 2 spot, as Chris Bithell has got some issues going on down here in the pits right now, and we see some of the guys getting together trying to find out what it is, man. That's looking like
looks like it might be brake issues.
Could be brake issues, could be something wrapped up in that rear wheel that causing the brake issues. It's a number of things, so they're working on that right now, and this has got to be a heartbreaker for Chris Bithell, man. I mean, we've seen him up front so many times before and since the win there a few rounds ago. And again, to see him in this position and to see it all fade back like this is a real heartbreaker.
Yeah, Ron, it looks like they're pumping the brakes. They may have the brakes maybe heated up and the brakes may be locked up. Looks like Chris is pumping the brake and the guy's tapping the valve in the back to let a little bit of the fluid out, trying to get the air out of the line. But that's a heartbreak for him because he was definitely riding the wheels off that thing today.
He sure was. I didn't see how many had actually gotten by. But right now, the way it stands, I think that Boric and McGill. So Boric now, there they go right here physically in front of us. So we see Walker Fowler, Adam McGill, Chris Boric are 1, 2, and 3 now. I believe that Bryson Neal has gotten around to move into the number 4 spot. And that might be about it, to be honest with you. I don't know if Brian Wolf was able to capitalize there or not, but time will certainly tell.
There's Adam McGill going through the mulch pile right now, Rodney. I got him 21 seconds behind Walker Fowler.
Wow, and look at the fever pitch he's riding at, but yet it's a calculated speed that he's racing at as well. You know, I was talking with him earlier today, and it was interesting that, you know, he was talking about how great things are going, how stiff the competition is, and talking about the levels of competition that these riders have had to achieve just to keep up pace with Walker Fowler and Chris Boric. And, you know, Adam says right now, you know, he says, I've achieved that level, obviously. And he goes, but I don't know that I can reach another level. He says, I'm going as fast as I can go. He says, he said, unless my dad can find a little bit more speed out of that, he says, I can't go any faster. When I'm on it, and it's going as fast as it will possibly go out there.
And right now, Rodney, there goes Chris Boric as he rounds that tree right there. He's in 3rd place. And that'll be Chris.
All right,
Bithell
Racer TV fans, we're here with.
And those guys right now are a good 30 seconds behind Adam McGill in 2nd place.
Cole Richardson, the coal train, in for a pit stop now as they get a big splash of gas. Look at that, using almost that entire quick fill. How much do they normally fill up in one of those quick fills?
You know, usually you fill up, like if the tank holds 3 gallons, you're going to put like 3.5 gallons in it because you think that extra half a gallon will help push it down through. But you always put a little bit extra in because you never know how much they're going to use. And like you said, Rodney, they definitely used a fair amount of fuel that time.
Yeah, there wasn't much more than a half gallon left in that tank, it didn't look like, as they dumped all that fuel into that machine.
But like you said, the good thing is they know they filled up now. They're good till the end of the day.
Well, I tell you, speaking of the end of the day, beginning of the day, the opposite of that, Fred Andrews, when we started out earlier today, we had another great day on tap, and we started off once again with those youth ATV pilots, and you got to ask yourself, can he do it? Can little Rocket Ronnie Rush make it 8 in a row after 7? We wondered if he could do 7. Well, guess what? He does 8 in a row. Matt Watson caught up with him after this morning's race.
All right, Racer TV fans, we're here with our first winner of the day, Ronnie Rush, the Rocket, going 8 for 8 and setting records here today at the John Penton. Ronnie, hey, tell us about your race. Not exactly a hole shot, but fighting for the lead in the 3rd turn, man. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I got a good start. Followed Tim, then Dylan Walraven passed me on a couple bends up there. Then I got back around Dylan, and there was the optional ways, and Tim took the slower way, and I got around Tim right when we hopped in the woods, and I just hammered down, tried not to break anything on the motocross, but it all worked out perfect.
I tell you what, you came through again, 8 for 8. Now, we got a little bit of overcast conditions here today. Weather almost perfect, huh?
Oh, yeah, it was wonderful for the motocross. The lappers were nice. They were moving, so everything just kind of went perfect, actually.
Hey, being 8 for 8 right now, that's at a new GNCC record, man. How's that make you feel?
It feels great that I'm going to hold the record, and I'm going to try to go for a perfect season. We'll see how it turns out.
Great. Hey, who are the most important people we want to thank today for helping us go 8 for 8?
My mom, my dad, sisters, my Big Pat, Tire Balls, Go Fancy, Masitis, Bentley's, Bulletproof Doors, Sense Graphics, Roland Performance, Kenda, and some friends that came with us.
Awesome. Congratulations, Rocket. And there you have it, guys. 8 for 8. Ronnie Rush here at the round 8, John Penton. So congratulations to him, and back to you, Rodney.
All right, thanks a lot, Megawatt, and pretty amazing stuff. 8 for 8 for little Rocket Ronnie Rush. And also, we saw some things going on there just a few moments ago, some issues for Chris Bithell in the pits. Megawatt, you caught up with the folks over there. What's going on?
Yeah, Rodney, I was just down there with the Bithell camp just a minute ago, and actually they believe a rear piston out of the rear caliper has blown out of the brake, freezing up on them, so they tried to pry it apart, push the piston back in the caliper as far as they could, and boom, put him back on the track. So definitely a mechanical there in the Bithell camp.
Wow, any indication of whether or not it worked yet or not?
No, absolutely not. As far as we know, it's probably going to heat back up and result in the same condition.
All righty, thanks a lot. Megawatt Matt Watson with the update from the pits. They're over there at BP Fuels Pro Row, and man, what a heartbreaker for Bithell, man. I mean, this guy, believe it or not, has got one of the best seasons going that he's had in a couple of years, and he's doing it all on his own. It's about as grassroots effort as one could be. I mean, you look down through the pits, he's got a 10x20 Easy Up and a white pickup truck, an Easy Up standing on a stand, a couple of extra pair of goggles, and a toolbox. And I'm not talking about big pro-level toolbox. I'm talking about the kind you pick up and you carry in one hand. So, I mean, grassroots level, and that's not the problem that he's having. That's the unfortunate thing.
We're down here with our Polaris Ace Race.
Like this right here with, well, the brakes heating up and causing those pistons and things to malfunction.
Yeah, Roddy, usually for the piston to come out of the master cylinder, that would mean the brake pads would have to be worn so far down to almost metal and metal for the piston to come all the way out of the master cylinder. So that's kind of maybe you got a rock or something stuck in this brake pedal, and the brakes are actually kind of dragging, and he didn't know, and that made all the pads eat up and go away. But if it happened once, I mean, unfortunately, my guess would say that piston's probably going to come out again.
Yeah, unfortunately, that may be the case, but you never know. We'll see what happens. Time tells the stories, and we'll have a good one to tell at the end of this one. Walker Fowler, Adam McGill, Chris Borch, 1, 2, and 3 right now as we roll through our second hour of racing, working on a white flag next time around when these riders come through. They got the 2-lap board there a few moments ago. According to calculations, about 13 minutes or so, the leaders will be in for lap number 4 complete. This will end up being, I believe, a 5-lap race. The first lap, though, Fred Andrews, considerably shorter than what the remainder of the laps are.
Yeah, right. I think we got a 10-mile track here today, and the first lap was a little bit shorter because they started on the other side of the road. But I noticed that the sun's trying to pop in and out a little bit right now, so we're starting to get a little bit warmer in the day. But I think at this point it's probably too late to worry about the sun having any effect on anything. These guys are really going after it. In the mulch piles, you can see there's some big rocks coming up out of the mulch pile, and these guys are really just bouncing and bouncing around as they exit out of the mulch pile.
Wow, just watching both on the TV screen and you right out the window.
And you can kind of see the difference, too. You know, these guys are riding through it. Look how much they're bouncing around compared to later. I think Matt's got something for us again.
I think Matt's got something. Let's head back down to Matt. What's going on, Matt?
Hey, Rodney, that's right. I just got done talking to Adam McGill's dad, and the question of the day is, Adam okay? Is the bike okay? And the question, or the answer to both those questions is yes. Adam's okay, and the bike is okay. It's simply up to him right now, and as we can see, he's come from 13th place in the pro class up to 2nd right now. So all good with the bike, all good with the body. It's a matter of putting his head down and getting the job done. straight from Adam's dad.
There you go, man. I tell you, that's about as simplified as it can get, man. And that's what you got to do. You got to simplify it on days like today. And when you're looking at a championship like this, you can't complicate it, because once you do start complicating things, then it gets complicated. So it's keeping it simple and doing the best that they can. And a confidence booster. What kind of a confidence? I mean, Walker Fowler was talking about that in the pre-race reports earlier today. He was talking about being able to come back from the dead last in the second place and possibly even within seconds of winning a race. You know, he was talking about how confident that made him. And I'm sure it's making Adam feel pretty confident. Fred, you've been in that situation scenario before over your career. What is going through your mind? Is it that big of a confidence booster?
Yeah, it sure is, Rodney. Right now, Adam McGill says, hey, I came from last to second. But then Adam's, you know, we're talking about this maturity of Adam. I think Adam's also thinking right now, okay, I'm going good right now. I think I'm just going to stay at the pace I am, because he knows he's got a little bit of points cushion going on. He might want to just say, hey, I'll take second today and keep some points, rather than if I push a little harder, maybe I can catch him. But, you know, when you push a little harder, anything can happen. So it's going to be interesting to see on this last lap here at the white flag whether the gap has gone down. You know, we had him over there at 20-some seconds. See if the gap is the same, or if it's gotten closer, if it's gotten wider apart. And if it's gotten a little bit further apart, maybe Adam's just settled in and saying, hey, you know what, second place is good for what the drama I had today.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the big picture now. You know, usually you don't think you're looking at it, but I think he's starting to see the big picture at the end, knowing that that's valuable points for second when he could have had nothing after that horrendous crash in the first turn.
Yeah, and he's actually riding like a champion already, and he hasn't even been crowned a champion yet. So that's pretty good indication that he's made some major milestones in his career, and he has matured a lot, and he's thinking a lot. I know that. He's thinking a lot, but not too much. You know, you can do that. You can think a lot, and sometimes there's a fine line there between too much and not enough. But I think that he's found that happy medium right there where he needs to be.
Yeah, you know, as a racer, you always have to come out here. You have to race the course and the other people. You can never really think about, okay, well, maybe I should do this to help my points. No, I don't think Adam's going that direction, but I think he realizes that he doesn't have to win today to keep his points lead and to keep his confidence going. His confidence is way up right now, where Walker's the same way. Walker came from 5th or 6th the first lap. He's in the lead right now. So his confidence, he has to win. That's what he came for. He wants to win every race, try to catch up and make those points up on Adam McGill. And then you've got Chris Borich. He had an okay first lap. Well, all of a sudden, he's found his groove. He's caught up to 3rd place. Well, Chris Borich may keep it going. Will he catch up Adam McGill? Well, they had a pretty big gap that last lap, but interesting to see how that gap also closes up going into the last lap. But Chris Borich is on the, I got to do the best I can. So he's giving it everything he's got, and I think he's throwing caution to the wind.
Yeah, and that's highly likely. And taking a look now, Fred, we oftentimes keep an eye on the top amateurs. Just want to give a shout out to College A 16 to 21-year-old leader now, Kenny Schick. We've seen some changes taking place there. Schick is now your leader in the College A class, and he is 20th overall, which places him as our top amateur overall today. And something else to point out, Wesley Wolf, who has been the top amateur, finishing, I think, 14th overall at the last round, winning the College A class and earning those amateur honors. He's all the way back in a 15th place position. He's only got 1 lap complete, which he was leading by about 22 seconds over the rest of the field. So it looks like some sort of issue, some sort of problem has arisen for Wesley Wolf, whether it be mechanical or rider error. I'm not sure at this point, but we do know that the tides have turned just a little bit there for the Wolfpack there. So that was your College A kind of update there and your overall update. So Kenny Schick right now is the rider that we got making some hay while the sun's shining, and he was running in 21st place there, 22nd place, I think, at the end of lap 2. At the end of lap 3, has made some progressions out there, so that's looking good. Looking at lap times right now, you wonder what the fast lap times are. Well, here's how they broke down. Walker Fowler turned a 24:07 last time around. Chris Bithell, obviously, we know that he got off pace a little bit because of those issues in with the brakes and so forth, but he still turned a 24:35 lap time. Adam McGill a 24-14. Chris Borich a 24-32. And Cole Richardson, who is rounding out the top 5 overall right now, turned a 25-16, about 45 seconds slower. Bryson Neal looking at a 25-10. And on elapsed time, man, it's going to be tough for Neal to get into a top 5 overall, but he's capable of doing it if he can push it here pretty soon. White flag will be coming out here probably in about 6.5 minutes or so as we wait for our leaders to check in. We're approaching about an hour and a half now into this race. And Fred, oftentimes, you know, when we talk racing and we talk the war of attrition, you know, on the motorcycle side of thing, it being a 3-hour race, we talk about that third and final hour being the critical hour for telling, you know, who's done their homework, who's in shape, and so forth. Here on the ATV side of things, it's a 2-hour race, and we do have that same type of scenario shape up, but I think it's more along the 1 hour, 20-minute, 1 hour, 30-minute ranges whenever we start seeing these guys start to feel the effects of the racing from the ATV side of things.
Yeah, Rodney, these guys are no different than the motorcycle guys. They're out there giving it their all, but I rode a quad one time. You cannot find a smooth line on a quad. I mean, these guys may think, oh, they only go 2 hours and the bikes go 3, but it's a totally different ball game for these guys on the quad. There are those smooth lines. They're getting beat up, bounce and bounce and bounce, and right there goes Chris Borage up the hill. And
was that one of our...
I'm not sure if that was Bryson Neal or who that was behind him, but you can see right now what comes in the game, Rodney, is how bad do you want the win? Yeah. How bad do you want to do it? You know, your body's a little tired. No matter who you are, you're going to be tired. You're giving it your all day long, but you've got reserves. You've trained all week long, so this is the reward you get. This last half hour really comes to show how bad you want it out there today, and these guys are going to be doing just that. They're going to give it their all this last lap, and we're going to see some gaps open up and some gaps close. And the one good thing about this is after you come through the finish, these guys are going to be able to come through the pit area, and their pit crew is going to say, hey, you're catching this guy. This is it. Your last lap. Give it your all. And that could be a difference today than normal when the pits is before the finish, when they can actually tell them where they're at.
Yeah, exactly. Very good point. It's kind of unique here at the Penton this week. Now, it's not the first time we've seen it happen like this in 2015. That's the great thing about GNCC. Everywhere we go, every track is different. Every scenario is different. Sometimes we're midway through the lap. Sometimes we're at the beginning of the lap. Sometimes we're at the end of the lap. It all depends and hinges oftentimes on what changes they make where the start is and where the finish line is. And we'll see a lot of those changes to the different venues that we go through throughout the course of the year. And like I say, that's helps, I think, warrant and mark some of those differences that we see in those. But right now, one thing that impresses me, again, is the strongness of the XC2 Pro-Am class. I was talking about this earlier. You heard me mention Adam McGill, who is currently running back now in the number 2 spot, trying to track down Walker Fowler, who's out front. Got his first podium right here in 2005, and that's some great incentive. And that was an overall podium from the XC2 Pro-Am class. But, you know, we still got some XC2 Pro-Am riders that are just phenomenal rides. We got Cole Richardson back there in the number 5 ride overall. But here's the impressive thing, is he's got a 1.5 minute lead, and second place in the class is still in the top 10. Cody Collier, whom we've touted the talents of on a couple different occasions, won the Youth National Championship, went and won the morning overall. That's the reason he wears that number 201 as kind of a tribute to being able to accomplish that kind of a feat, winning that overall from the college boy class. He went to step up straight into the pro class at last year's Ironman, right out of the youth ranks, but officials decided that, you know, we're not real sure. We know you're fast in the morning. We know you got this, but are you really ready for a Pro-Am class? Because the level of competition from Pro-Am to just an A class of the Pro-Am is just so much different. So they said, you're still young yet. Let's go ahead, try it in the College A. If you do well overall, then we'll consider it. Well, he went out there and he set the world on fire as far as the College A class was concerned, and they opened the way up and said, welcomed him right there to row number 2 in the XC2 Pro-Am ranks. Straight from basically the novice classes last year. There's it was basically it's in that morning race, but it's kind of a youth class and that schoolboy class out there. So pretty phenomenal to make that step up, basically from youth right straight into XC2 Pro-Am. Don't see that happen very often.
No, that's my exact words. That's something that doesn't happen all the time, but he's made it work for him. Where a lot of guys takes them a little bit of time to make that adjustment. That just shows that he was definitely ready for that class. They made the right move. Now the next step from XC2 to XC1, that's a huge difference because even Cole Richardson, if he would move up next year, he's going to find it being a little bit harder to happen. And there goes Walker Fowler right now up the hill after one of the little mud hole off-camber section. It looks like he's starting to stretch it out a little bit.
Nice little gap starting to open up there. We were looking at about 15, it would have been almost 20 seconds back to the number 2 spot, but that gap maybe at least that or more now, as we have yet to see second place ride who we're expecting to be Adam McGill check in, and here comes some riders now, but those do not appear to be moving at a fever pitch.
Here comes Adam. That slower rider got out of his way. It looks like Adam McGill's lost a little bit of time to him, but you can't tell by his fans, man. They're out there hooting and hollering, yelling and screaming, and like this section's getting a little bit tricky here. It looks like some guys starting to get stuck on it.
Yeah, the Mafia is out in full force in that little off-camber section. It's amazing how that's developed, too. It's gotten a lot better. It's gotten a lot better, but at the same time, it's gotten a lot trickier and a lot worse depending on how you hit it. But interesting how those lines have changed throughout the course of this. So Walker Fowler now, wow. Got it, opening up that lead out there, making it look rather monumental as far as the gap between first and second. But
the surprise, Rodney, is the gap back to Chris Borich.
Yeah, and Borich, last check, Bryson Neal 48 seconds behind him. And Brian Wolf another 21 seconds back. And you got to think right now as Chris Borich just playing the, that's him right there. So Borich in the number 3 spot. He's looking to be about a minute now behind, and that's what he was. He's right on par, right on track with where he was at the end of the lap 8 miles ago. So looks like Chris Borich is right where he is. But, you got to hand it to Chris, and at this point, I think it's a matter of salvaging as possibly as strong a finishes as he can. He's looking at that minute-plus gap now between himself and Walker Fowler and saying, okay, realistically, I'm not going to be able to make up that time. Realistically, with a little more than a lap to go, I'm probably not going to be able to catch up to Adam McGill. Realistically, 3rd place is a good ride.
Yeah, 3rd place is awesome right now with the year he's having, the bad luck he's having, putting himself in the right position and then breaking down. He's had some trouble. And Walker Fowler's coming now on the motocross track, coming to the white flag, and Walker's just looking forward right now, Rodney. He's not worried about anybody. His pit crew's telling that he's starting to put a little bit of time on him. When you get a pit board saying you're adding time to yourself, it just, you don't get tired. You're not tired. He's just thinking, I'm going. Everything's going right for him today. And
so here he goes.
Here comes his, patented Walker Fowler whip.
I'll bet the race fans, they're gathered around there. They like that. There's no doubt about it. Walker Fowler working his way around to the finish line region here for the
And you can look at his riding style right now. He's wheeling. He's having so much fun on that Yamaha quad right now. Randy Hawkins has put a great program together for him with the AmPro team, and he's shaking his head. He's here in Ohio. This is his home state. He's got so many fans here. I know when I was in Ohio and I raced, you found extra energy or extra whatever you needed to win, and it looks like Walker Fowler's going to do it to everybody here in his home state of Ohio.
That'll be 2 years in a row if he can hold on to it for another 24 minutes or so. He will be an Ohio winner 2 years in a row here at the Wisecoat John Penton GNCC. And, as he makes his way around these turns and into the history books, I believe that Megawatt back over in the pits. What's going on, Matt?
I'm not sure, Rodney, where that come from. I'm over here by the podium right now, just getting some preparations made. I'm not sure where that came from.
All right.
10-4.
So we thought we had an update coming in, but McGill checking in now 40 seconds back. Chris Bithell, we were talking about a few moments ago, and I had an interesting conversation with him earlier today, and I asked him during the ITP pre-race report there on BP Fuels Road this morning. I said, now, Chris, coming into this season, I said, realistically, making the big bright switch and plan. You never plan to see things that far behind the 8 ball and to have as many problems and struggles as what you had there, at least a couple of rounds. I said, were you expecting this? Did you expect that something like this could happen? He said, well, it wasn't necessarily that we were expecting anything bad to happen, but what we did know is that there was a big possibility that things could go bad before they turned around and got better. He said that he knew that they were behind the 8 ball and they had a lot of testing and stuff to do. They had a lot of good friends in Johnny Gallagher and Chad Weenan riding the Yamaha to help give them ideas on setups. But Chris even said, you know, those were good setups for them, but he said, I had to find the right setup for me. And he says, each day I'm getting that much closer. And he says, the training the last couple of weeks, I felt so good and so smooth. And he felt like things were starting to click in the right direction. And that's proven a point. And he's riding like a calculated champion is right now. He's got that solid third-place position. Second and first is so far away. Let's just take these points, do with what we can. Even if we don't win a championship this year, we're building, we're learning, and we're going to take this knowledge and move it on to round number 9 at Snowshoe.
Yeah, Rodney, too. And I think he's had that Suzuki so dialed in these last 5 or 6 or 8 years that he knew everything about that bike, how it hit every rock, everything, and he was so comfortable with that bike. And right now he's just making that transition, like you said, to the Yamaha to make it feel as good as what his Suzuki did, and he's definitely coming forward. We thought it would be quicker than what it was, but, you know, there's a lot to learn, and he's doing a great job doing that, and the third place today is going to be a great ride for him.
Walker Fowler, man, railing it out here in these open field sections, trying to get around some lap traffic. He's gotten around both of them now. One was a little tougher to get around than the other. Chris Borich in the pits, quick splash of gas and a big drink of water there, and he's off and rolling again. A good calculated ride by the champ, and riding like a true champion does. And I'll tell you, man, Walker Fowler riding great out front. But Adam McGill, again, an impressive ride by the 521. The Mafia's got to be pretty stoked. Yeah, you want to see him win. Yeah, Adam does want to win. But most importantly, he wants to damage control at this point. Walker Fowler's out front. It's looking like, at the moment, he's going to take the win. And what Adam McGill has to do right now is try to minimize as many points lost as possible. And if he loses 3 or so points or 5 points, not such a big deal. But if he was to lose more than that, it could start to become a little bit of a much bigger deal. So pretty interesting. And still your opportunity to get your podium predictions in our AMSOIL Twitter contest and your chance to win $250 in AMSOIL product. Tweet your podium finish predictions to hashtag GNCC Live. Winner will be chosen randomly here before the end of the show. Again, you don't have to be right, but you just got to be well involved, and you got to hashtag GNCC Live in order to be eligible. Again, $250 will go to the winner of our AMSOIL Twitter contest. With an hour and 38 and a half minutes into this race, Walker Fowler, Adam McGill, Chris Borich, Chris Bithell, and Cole Richardson, your top 5. We'll be back with more from the John Penton GNCC after this.
General RV is going to help you go camping with locations across the nation and thousands of RVs to choose from. General RV is the nation's largest family-owned RV dealer. At General RV, you'll save thousands on everything from trailers that sleep the whole family right up to motorhomes that are amazing and so economical to travel in. General RV is the only dealer who can show you this much and save you this much with a great deal from
And welcome back to GNCC Live. Rodney Tomlin along with Fred Andrews and Megawatt Matt Watson as we bring you live and continuing coverage of the Weisco John Penton GNCC, our 26th running here. An hour and 42 minutes, I guess, now into this one, Fred Andrews. And I tell you what, we have seen an interesting race that has unfolded here today before our very eyes. Coming into this one, our point leader, Adam McGill, confident and on top of the world as ever. But it was that first turn, man, that really kind of turned things upside down and began, to make us question, was the wheels going to come off of McGill's program here today in Ohio as the green flag flew on this when he got off to a really good start. Comes in, he's really hot, and he starts swinging way out wide. Nobody touches him, and he just simply high sides it. He may have been able to save it there, but then Kevin Yoho gets into him, pitches him off the bike there. He takes a little bit of a tumble. And, man, I'm telling you, the crowd, the size, the gasps that you heard whenever that happened over those motors, over the motors of those ATVs was just amazing. And you can see not even a sense of urgency did he take whenever he rolled back over to that quad, flipped it back on its four wheels, and commenced to go to work there, where he has made his way all the way up into second place. Whenever we came through the finish line at the end of lap number 4 a moment ago, Fred Andrews, he was 40 seconds behind. When they went through the mulch pile about a mile later, he had shaved off 10 seconds of that gap down to just 30-second gap now.
Yeah, Rodney, you can see that crash that he did. He even turned his GoPro off when he got back on his bike. So he was not worried at all. He knew he's been doing his homework, and he knew what he had to do today. And you're correct. Going through the mulch pile, he actually caught 10 seconds in probably a mile and a half. So maybe my theory of Adam McGill just going to settle for second to pad his points for the championship, maybe he's throwing that right out the window. He wants to win.
He most certainly does. And you couple that with the fact that these riders are now in the lap traffic. If you remember, we saw Walker there at one point. He was in amongst a couple of lappers that he had to try to manipulate his way around. One got out of his way pretty quick. The other, it took almost the entire field section for him to move out of the way. That may play a role for both of those. And again, as we always say, and I hate to keep beating a dead horse and saying the same things over and over, but, man, now that Walker Fowler has gone through, that is the advantage for Adam McGill, because they know that the XC1 guys are coming, and they know how heated the battles can be, so they're not going to want to get in the middle of that.
Yeah, Rodney, for sure. Now that when Adam McGill's catching up, they're going to be listening for him. They hear a bike, boom, they're out of the way. So that could give him the advantage he needs maybe to catch Walker. Or if you catch a slow guy and holds Walker up enough, Adam McGill sees him. When you see somebody, you want to catch them. So that could work against them too. So you never know what's going to happen on this last lap with the action going on here. We won't know till the motocross track, and that could be exciting.
It could be very exciting. And I got to say, I hope to see one of those bumper to bumper type grabs, bumper to nose grab bar, I guess is what we call them on the four-wheelers. But I want to see some good battling like that. Whether or not we get it, we've still seen a great race today. And we've seen great racing all day today. We saw the great race with the youth ATV race this morning. You know, like that starts at 8 o'clock. We've done a lot of racing. Still more to go with UTVs a little later today. But we had the single seat, the Polaris Ace, the all-new off-road experience. It's a whole new off-road experience there with the single-seat Polaris. Well, we had another one of those Polaris races this morning. Matt Watson caught up with our winner.
We're down here with our Polaris Ace race winner today, Sam. Oh, okay, I got you. Hey, folks, we're down here with our Polaris Ace race winner, Sam Yoakley. Sam pulling away today, got a good little lead. Only challenged one time for the win today, Sam, so pretty basic race for you.
Oh, yeah, it was great. I only got past that one time, but I got back around him the next lap, and I was happy and just rode on in for the win.
I tell you what, it looked like a great track for the Aces. Is that the case today?
Yeah, it was a great track. It was perfect for these. It was nothing too hard, nothing too easy. It was about perfect.
Right on. And I know you got a lot of sponsors that helped you get this win today. Sam, is there anybody you want to say thank to?
Yeah, I want to thank Big Country Power Sports, Polaris, and Racer Tech, and my family.
Right on. There we have it. Today's Polaris Ace winner, Sam Yoakley. And back to you, Rodney.
Thank you very much, Megawatt. And we are back here at the
winner today, Michael Swift. Mike, I got...
Well, let's go and check in with Mike Swift. He won the 4x4 Pro Class earlier today.
Hello, everyone.
Winner today, Michael Swift. Mike, I got to admit, for you, you look a little bit whipped today, man. Was it tough out there?
Yeah, I don't know, it wasn't real hot. It's just I think the dust, it was sucking all that dust and trying to keep it out of my lungs. I think it just
Well, Rodney, here we are back at the mulch pile. They got one more time coming for that mulch pile. That thing is getting super rough. It looks like there's like a log or two laying in it now that they forgot to chop up.
Maybe even. But, yeah, I think we might have Baby Hooper on the switcher right now.
Got a little help in there.
Yeah.
Got a little helper.
Oh, love the man, love the way this thing is starting to turn out. Do you see how hard these guys are just driving into that turn? And just look how big those moguls are starting to get, man. I mean, those were just little bumps a little while ago, say 2 laps ago. They're turning into major moguls now.
Yeah, Ron, you can see those guys are kind of leaning a little bit forward because they're starting to get tired, and that even lightens the back up more, and the quad starts bouncing side to side where the leaders are kind of wheeling through there. These guys are just happy to get through there and say, man, one more lap. That's all I got to do. One more lap.
And one more lap. We're in the midst of 9 minutes and 30 seconds of one more lap. All that remains for Walker Fowler in his bid for his second consecutive Whitescoat John Penton GNCC win here in Millfield, Ohio. Adam McGill, who has yet to ever win, looks like he could celebrate his 10th anniversary with another second-place finish here, although this time under a lot more positive circumstances, looking at still maintaining the points lead and the possibility of the XC1 Pro title if everything falls into place for him in the upcoming rounds, obviously. I mean, don't want to give him the championship before it's too soon, but we certainly don't want to take him out of contention for it either.
No, you know, Adam's here for the championship. Even if he doesn't win today, second place, that still puts you in position to be a champion. If you're top 3 all year long, man, your chances of being the champion for the year are really good, and Adam's doing that. Adam's putting himself in the right position each time, each race, and on the podium. So even if he does get second, it's still a great ride. If he would happen to catch Walker this last lap, which the way things have been going this year, it sure could happen. I mean, anything's possible, but we're going to see on this motocross track, and we're going to see some exciting race here for sure.
Most certainly, and I don't know if you've noticed, Fred, but it's about time to get the UV protectors out, man. The sun is starting to burn through. We had those overcast skies, thick overcast skies, and, you know, everybody looking up. Is it going to rain? You look at the radar, there's not a rain cloud or a blip on the radar anywhere within hundreds of miles of where we are, and, you know, you still question yourself. But here mid-afternoon and near the end of this ATV race, we're starting to see the sun burn through. Some blue skies are starting to come out, and we're looking at a whole different scenario. And with that, the temperatures, I'm sure, are rising a little bit also.
Yeah, Ryan, for sure. It's getting hotter out right now. As the end of the day is coming, you're starting to get tired. Now with the heat coming out, it's even going to wear on you a little bit more as this race winds down here in the end. You know, like I said, the dusty section out in the field area, we still got a little bit of breeze blowing to help blow that dust out of the way so the guys can see. And as we're looking at the woods section right here, these guys are coming at us, Rod, and there's no dust in the woods, so that's a great thing where, you know, you can get a lot of good racing done in the woods.
Most definitely. Let's take a look at the way things are breaking down. Of course, Chris Bithell got the whole shot. Extra $250 he puts in his pocket today, and he's going to need it probably to fix those brakes. And that's an unfortunate incident for him because he was leading for a good portion of this race. Dropped back a couple of spots, still in contention for the win and for a podium position here today, but those brake problems arose. He's dropped back after an extended pit stop to a 14th overall position. That puts him 12th in the class, but 14th overall is the points he's counting on right now. The way we're looking at the overall top 20, Walker Fowler, Adam McGill, Chris Borich, 1, 2, and 3. Bryson Neal back and forth, 1 minute and 14 seconds. Bryson Neal is then followed by Cole Richardson on time adjustments. Brian Wolf is 6th overall. Landon Wolf in 7th overall. Johnny Gallagher up to 8th overall, 7th in class. Cody Collier, 2nd. The XC2 Pro-Am class is 9th overall. Josh Merritt is running 10th. Kevin Yoho in 11th. Jared McClure, and there's the big question. What happened to McClure? We didn't see what happened there to the number 4. Maybe we can get Megawatt down in the pits to get a little bit of intel on that. But he's all the way back there in 12th place overall. That's 10th in class right now. Jay Shadron, the number 9, is 13th. Chris Bithell is 14th overall, as we told you. Blake Tornes is 3rd in the XC2 Pro-Am class, and he is 15th overall. Then we look at A.J. Kuntz in 16th overall, 4th in class. Randy Hamilton is 5th in class, 17th overall. 6th in class and 18th overall, Marty Christopherson. 19th overall, and I believe would be, 8th in class is Cameron Bruce. And Kenny Schick is leading the college A 16 to 21-year-old class. He is also your 20th place overall rider, and as of right now, the top amateur overall.
And right in the screen as you were going through the top 20 there, Adam McGill is still 30 seconds behind Walker Fowler at the 5-mile marker. So they just went up the hill. Adam McGill hasn't caught any time, but he hasn't lost any time either. So they're still in the same position where they were coming through the dreaded mulch pile.
And 5 miles left to go. As we pointed out, the last lap only gets more inundated with lap traffic out there, so your obstacles all of a sudden multiply, and your opportunity for bad choices multiply at the same time, and that 30 seconds could be whittled down about rather quickly. On the flip side of that, it could also become a much larger gap if Adam McGill pushes the envelope too much and tries to make up too much ground too quickly. But I think the way that both these riders are racing, Walker's racing to win.